This etude is labeled allegro grazioso, which means gracefully fast. To me, this is a direct hint that I shouldn't take too fast of a tempo and that musical line will be a more important focus than speed. This etude in particular is a great example of choosing a tempo based on your fastest rhythm. Check out the 30-second notes in measure 15. This is essentially a written out ornamental turn. Even though it only happens twice, very briefly, each of these turns marks the end of a phrase, so playing them with precision makes your musical line very impressive. Make sure you're taking a tempo that balances the forward motion of the eighth notes with the clarity of those 30-second notes. I would suggest a tempo somewhere between 110 and 130 to the quarter note. There are a lot of alternating half-whole notes here. My advice is to work through these passages slowly for accuracy first, and to always maintain a strong, constant air support. Half-whole notes are notorious for causing speaking issues when a player's air support is compromised. Remember, a piano dynamic doesn't mean as soft as possible. It means softly while maintaining a good supported tone. Dynamics are always relative. There are two distinct slur styles in this etude that need to be approached differently. They're both patterns of two eighth notes slurred together, but one ends with a staccato over the second note. Staccatos over slurs have a bunch of different uses, but in this case, because we're maintaining the graceful feel as the tempo suggests, I would play these as a soft, round air release. Make sure the note is short, but not cut off so we can't hear the note itself. The second note still continues the forward motion of the melody despite its shortness. When you see slurs without the staccato, make sure you play those long and push your air through the notes to emphasize the different articulation in the returning melody. One other note about articulation. You may feel the urge to cheat and tongue that low note on those phrase-ending downward octave slurs. Try your best to fight it. One way to get those octaves out as clean as possible is to use your voicing in an extreme physical way. Try saying "ee-yaw" like a donkey. Trust me, it sounds silly, but it works. Even at a fast tempo, this etude doesn't leave much room for breathing in that middle stretch of minor key land. This is another technique balance issue. If you take a slower tempo, there's more room between the notes to fit a breath in without breaking the musical line. If you take a faster tempo, you may make it a longer time without needing a breath, but when you do need a breath, it's hard to fit it in without sacrificing the consistent tempo or cutting off a note. I chose to breathe before the low E in measure 28, and again at the same gesture before the low D in measure 32. Other than that, breathing should be pretty self-explanatory. If you find different places to breathe that work better for your idea of phrasing, go for it. Just make sure to mark it in and do the same thing every time.